the member for Rutherglen and Hamilton West on securing this important debate on the future of Scotland's economy, and I would like to make a short contribution in that respect. The fact of the matter is that Scotland's GDP continues to languish in the doldrums and isn't forecast to grow by more than 1% per year until at least 2023. A critical indicator of an economy's future success is the overall level of investment. And in Scotland, while foreign levels of investment are high, the overall level of investment is low. This isn't a healthy picture. And it's not only a Scottish problem, but one which affects the entire UK economy and is one of the key drivers of our low productivity. Investment in the UK from public and private sources sits at 17% of our GDP. This, according to the World Bank figures, puts us 118th in the world. The United States invests 20% of its economy, Japan 24%. The need to improve our levels of investment are well rehearsed, but I would like to focus on the need for a fully functioning, effective, organised UK National Investment Bank to shape the future of Scotland's economy and to invest in enterprise, especially, of course, in Scotland. And let me strike a chord of bipartisanship here. I know the SNP have a plan for a Scottish investment bank, and I think it's a worthy concept. But I want to advance the case for a UK National Investment Bank. Jim McCall is one of Scotland's most successful business people, and we should listen to him. And he recently commissioned a report from UCL entitled A Case for a UK National Investment Bank, and I recommend it as a thoroughly sound read. I'd be very happy, Mrs. Mayne, to supply every member of the House with a digital copy of this report. And from it, I wish to make 3 quick points. One, this is quoting from the report, by making strategic investments in nurturing new industrial landscapes, a modern industrial strategy focused on solving important societal challenges can help to rebalance the economy and reinvigorate the industrial base. 2, this requires not just any type of finance, but patient, long-term, committed finance. This can take different forms, but in many countries, patient strategic finance is increasingly coming from state investment banks. By developing new financial tools and working closely with public and private stakeholders, state investment banks can, if structured effectively, play a leading role driving growth and innovation. And 3, the European Investment Bank has long been a key feature of this sort of finance for infrastructure projects in the UK, financing £7 billion of projects in 2016. And as we leave the EU, we clearly need to consider options to replace the European Investment Bank. A national investment bank of this type, Mrs. Mayne, that is found in many European countries would ensure the availability of quality patient capital. Entrepreneurs have to have access to patient capital because they need immediate investment for longer-term returns. And if businesses don't have access to this quality of capital in our country, they move to where they can get it. And if they don't physically move, the ideas that need to be nurtured by patient capital move, and we see the continuation of the old cycle. Scotland and Britain, and Scotland in particular, is a magnificent nursery of imagination and creativity. New products and concepts start off on their journey of commercialisation on these shores, but end up being fully deployed and exploited somewhere else. And that cycle must be broken for good, and the availability of patient capital is crucial.
Well, I actually had the opportunity to meet Jim McCall quite recently to discuss the future of commercial shipbuilding in Scotland. And the example he cites is exactly what the honourable member has mentioned, that in Germany they have access to patient finance. They can finance upfront the capital cost of a ship up to £1 billion a piece to build a ship, whereas in Scotland there is simply no facility for that. So does he not agree that the Scottish Investment Bank, whilst a laudable proposal, is nowhere near the scale needed to achieve massive industrial growth that we need?
I absolutely agree with the honourable gentleman. That is why I'm advocating for the future of Scotland's economy, a UK investment bank. And I have also had many dealings with Jim McCall, as you can tell, and I agree with the direction of his argument. Patient capital, Mrs. Mayne, instills long-term support, builds confidence in the whole commercialisation process from ideation to launch, and fosters the entrepreneurial spirit of our brightest and best. The return on patient capital invested is one measure of financial success, but in terms of the measurement of social good, they are exponentially better. Now, I have a much longer speech, obviously, prepared to give on this subject, but I know the Minister may refer me to the British Business Bank. But to me, it isn't really operating to its potential as an actual, real bank. And the level of available resources is too low. It's £200 million a year from the taxpayer for the whole UK economy. It's going to do very little to actually address the investment shortfall in our economy. Essentially, the British Business Bank needs to be reformed to become a real bank with the ability to issue bonds and raise funds. And finally, Mrs May, in the interest, I think, of time, I may already be speaking over time, I do apologise, I'd like to ask the Minister a couple of very simple questions. As we consider the future of Scotland's economy, does the Government accept that British businesses and entrepreneurs need an additive source of good quality patient capital? Capital which is not currently available in any quantity. And what is the considered view of our Government to the proposition of converting the British Business Bank into a fully functioning national investment bank on the same basis as the national investment banks operating in other countries? And if I may say, just to agree further with the honourable gentleman intervened earlier, one example is Germany, and the KfW, which I think is worthy of a close examination by the Government, especially in the current situation we're in as we leave the European Union, and we have to consider how we will support British businesses, and Scottish businesses in particular, to compete on the global scene.